Hello, hello. Today. Zangye Judon Zoye Chonam Lai Janju Bardo Dane Gyabzo Je Dage Jinzo Gimbe Zuna Rola Benje Zangye Dubra Jo Zangye Judon Zoye Chonam Lai Janju Bardo Dane Gyabzo Sakya Jinso Nipe Sunam Je Dola Vinche Sanje Dubra Sho Sanje Chodo Soye Cho Chancho Baldo Dane Gyabso Je Sakya Jinso Nipe Sunam Je Dola Vinche Sanje Dubra Sho Simche Tamche Dewa Yudan Dembra Yuje Dunga Andora Yuje Dunga Mebe Dewa Damidawa Yuje Nere Chadan Danda Nane Bra Gyuru Inche Mare Simche Gunye Gunjuru Je Dede Bunche Mise Jum Inji Jen Genjuru Be Jumde Goje Nidre Sheso So Jumde Dene Jumbale Dadra Sunam Gao Ala Che Chene Ya Tula Gushe Namra Ze Chidra Damba Zamye Ne Lanam Jine Aye Chune Daba Ye Dejen Dage Gude So Saje Domri Ra Linje Nide Yeba De Sanye Shindo Mide Bu Yoge Namda Shindo Jebara Isho Suda Chuchu Jide Na Disun Sheba Miye Senge Genda Ye Male Deda Damji Lidang Aye Dambe Chage O Sambo Jebe Melam Dodangi Jawa Damje Ye Muzo Shinge Dunye Lira Dubai Jawa Gunla Rabdo Chaza Duje Dena Dunye Sanje Nam Sanje Sege Vina Shuba Pedra Jige Ina Malu Ba Samje Jawa Dage Gawa Himize Jazu Nam Yangye Yanla Jazu Dagunye Jawa Gunye Yundera Ewa Shemba Damje Dage Inde Nando Damba Tiawan Damba Sinye Namda Juba Dujo Da Marme Chodo Indube Damba Yawan De Da Lane Chebra Ye Naza Damba Namda Dejo Da Chema Hondo Geba Yebra Babe Chogen Ye Yawan De Da Lane Chebra Cheba Ganam Lame Yajewa De Da Yawa Tamje Laya Sambo Jela Debe Da Ye Yawa Gunla Chaza Chebra Ye Deja Jedan Hidoy Adoy Deje Ye Yam Diba Da Ye Yiba Jeje Teta Damje Da Ye Sosro Cha Chojo Yawa Gunla Sanye Se Rangya Nanda Lobda Milo Ruwa Gunye Sonam Kala Yam Teta Gunye Jeso Da Ye Kanam Chojo Jide Dema Nam Chanjo Rimba Sanye Maja Gombo Deda Da Ye Damje La Kolo La Na Me Ba Gawa Dade Kanche Deda La Dowa Gunla Mishen Deve Gombo Shinge Dunye Shubha Ya Da Ye Tama Rabjo Soba Chokza Wada Chuje Shaba Da Jiso Yira Gujen Soba Gewa Jose Da Ye Jisamba Tamje Zobe Janju Chengu Samba Da Loye Chida Chida Wa Cheju Demo Deba Cheje Golo Gorondo So Okay. Okay. Good evening. Tashidele. So today we are going to talk about the practicing renunciation is lay life, right? So yesterday we talked about the importance of refuge, refuge and the bodhicitta. So today is most about the renunciation practice in the lay people life. So before that, I will going to talk about little bit about the suffering of samsara. So usually when we talk about the samsara, there are 6 realms, right? The health realm, then hungry ghost realm, then animal realm, then human realm, god realm, goddess, demigod realm. There are 6 different realm in the samsaras. So in the health realm, usually there are so many different kind of health, like there are where there is a suffering of too much hot, and where there are suffering of too much cold. Yeah, that kind of suffering have in the hell. And the hungry ghosts, they are also have so much different. The most of the hungry ghosts all have a same suffering, right? They didn't get put long times. They are always hungry and thirsty. So even thousands of years, they didn't get the food and the water for drink. So that kind of suffering in the hungry ghost realm. Then the animal realms, usually we can see the animals, they are eating each other. The big animals eat the small animal. Then the like a tiger, leopard, like that animals eat the so that kind of suffering in the animal realms. And some animals usually we can see the people, the human beings making them like a servant in their lives. They used to bring the things, and some like horse, the people ride on the horse, and that kind of suffering have in the animal lives. Then the human, we are human beings, right? So in human being, there are lots of suffering we also experience in our life during when we are birth time. We also have suffering. After that, when we are growing, then we get sickness, and we also have problems of family, and also there are so many mental suffering and the physical suffering in the human life. Then slowly we are also getting old, and one day we are die. So these are suffering of human beings. Then also God realm and goddess realm, they are also have suffering. And end of the time, the god and the god demigod, they are also usually it's the demigod, most of the time they have so much suffering of the jealous to the god realms. Then the god realm also have a suffering. Usually, most of the time, they don't have suffering like hell realm and human beings, but end of the time, when they are almost going to die, they have a lots of suffering. Then usually it's their mental suffering is more uh, bigger than the human being suffering and the hell realm suffering, because it says in the sutra that the gods usually they are very, how to say, their life is very enjoying like that. There is no sickness, there is nothing like the human beings. But end of the time, when they almost going to die, before 1 week, they have some sign. Their signs showed to them he is going to die after 1 week, like the sign of like, usually they didn't sweat like us, but when they are going to die after 1 week, and then usually the goat, they get sweating and smelling in their body. Usually they no need to wash, and they have always very clean. Then before they're going to die, they get a little bit sweating, smelling, and they have a very beautiful garland of flower. That flower also getting old, usually not become like that. And they feel like always unhappy to the, usually they are always happy in their place, but when they are going to die, they didn't feel stay in their rooms. So that kind of sign uh, they show to the god when they are going to die after 1 week. And that time, the others, their relatives, also becoming far from them. They are not come in from to them, because they also knowing, and he has a smelling, sweating, lots of different, right? So the others, their friends, their relatives also know coming in front of them, and they get they that time he also know himself that after 1 week he is going to die from the god realm. Then he get lots of suffering, because we also can imagine, right? If let's say someone tell us to 1 week after the 1 week, if you are going to die, if someone tell like that, and if we know that situation, then we also get so much suffering in our mind, right? That kind of mental suffering is very so much have to the god end of the day life. So that's why uh, all the samsara, like from hell to until the god realm, they are always suffering. So we are our main wishes is we are always wishing happiness, and like the people who are really want to do a practice, those are always looking for the nirvana, like enlightenment. So that's why even not only the monks and nuns, all the people, uh, like lay people or even the animals, they all are looking for the happiness. So that's why the most important things to us is first we have to know the suffering. That is very important. Otherwise, uh, it is very difficult to get pity from the sufferings. So that's why when the Buddha gave a past teaching in the Varanasi, past Buddha teach a Four Noble Truth, right? In the Four Noble Truth, the past Buddha tell you have to know the suffering. Knowing the suffering is the past teaching. Then after that, this knowing about the cause of suffering. So Buddha teach like that. That is because if we don't know the suffering of this samsara and our suffering, then we cannot think about the enlightenment or the usually the nirvana. So that's why even the lay people also always want pity from suffering. Not only monks, not only nuns, all the people, they also want to get pity from the suffering. So that's why the renunciation, usually we call the renunciation, that is also very important for the lay people. Even actually that is very important for the all the sentient sentient beings, especially who really want to do a practice, who really wishing the becoming Buddha, and who really want nirvana. Those people must need a practice of renunciations. So for renunciations, it's not easily come in that kind of practice, not easily come in our mind. Even we know the samsara is so much suffering. There are lots of suffering in this life, but even we know that there's so much different sufferings in our life, but still the renunciation come in our mind is very difficult. So that's why for practice the become come out the more and good renunciation, for that we have to always think about the suffering or samsara. Usually we can also do the meditation about the samsara. Past we have to think about the I already told, right, the suffering of hell realm, suffering of hungry ghost realm, suffering of animal realms. Even women, as we are human being, then we know more better about the human suffering. Like everyone have a different suffering we all in our lives. Sometimes we have to we have to think again and again our life suffering. And because of, if we always think about the suffering, then through that we know the what is suffering and why we have to uh, get pity from this samsara. We know through the meditation, do a meditation about the suffering. Let's say what just example, if anyone like love to stay in the Malaysia, then he if he feel it is nice, it is good, then he will never think about go far from this place, right? He always want to stay in the Malaysia. If he feel that is good place for him, then he never think he want to go far from the Malaysia.
But if he know there is a lots of suffering, then he don't want to stay here, right? He trying to go out from this Malaysia, and he want to go for other place, something like that. If we don't know about the some suffering of samsara, then we never come the thinking of get pity from the suffering, samsara or suffering. So for have a good practice of renunciation, the most important, the first thing is we are always have to know about the suffering. Then when we talk about the suffering, there are so many different level of suffering, right? Usually, normally, when we are get sick, when we have some problem in our mind, when we are sadness, that time we say this is suffering. But actually, the suffering is not only that. Usually, most of samsaric things are suffering in our even sometimes we are get happiness, but that happiness is not a real happiness. That is just a samsaric happiness, and that is if we have a 1 hour, then after 1 hour, it is become a suffering. That kind of happiness, it is not ultimate happiness. That is not a permanent happiness. That is just a how to say something like duplicate happiness, something like that. So most of let's say I just yesterday I also told, right, even the people who like so much smoking, when they are smoking, they think that is happiness. He is thinking that is happiness, but actually that is totally wrong, right? That smoking is more suffering to him, because after take so much smoke, then in the future, he has lots of suffering. So all the samsarics, whatever activities like eating, going, thinking, most of related with the suffering. Even we have some uh, good food or good talking, those are most of cause of the suffering. So that's why uh, the all the samsarics things are usually we call the uh, usually it say that living in the samsara is like we are living on the top of the nip, right? Nip. So if we stay top of the nip, there are always painful like that. So we have lots of painful and suffering. Sometimes we also don't know the what our suffering. That is the main problem. And because of that, we are we always uh, we are always didn't get the thoughts of uh, becoming Buddha ourselves, enlightenment, and get free from the samsara, the thoughts of getting nirvana, that kind of thought cannot get. So that's why the forget a renunciation in our life, the most important is we have to think about samsara, suffering of samsara. Then that is even the lay people also want to get free from the samsara. So always have to think about, usually if we think about the normal people life, then we think like that, how to say, the monks must have to do the practice, they must have to do all the good discipline, they must they are going to practice and they are going to enlightened, we think like that. And the lay people, usually they are samsaric people, we think like they are going to whatever they are going to do is samsaric things like that, right? So you know the what I means. So actually not the monks also need to enlighten, then the lay people are people who really think this samsara is full of suffering. I really want to get free from this samsara, and that kind of people must have to practice renunciation. Like you must have to know the suffering of samsara, must have to learn about what is nirvana, what is Buddha, and after that must have to do the practice for getting ourselves enlightenment, getting ourselves free from this samsara. So that is very important. Usually if we look at the people, maybe most of the human beings, when they are young, maybe like when they are age of 16, 17, when they are child, when they are 20, 25 years old, that time maybe they like to the samsara. They can enjoy their less responsibility, they have less experience of the life, and they feel enjoy. But after when they get like 40 years old, 45, 60, 70, that time they get lots of experience of the some suffering of samsara. Yeah, if we ask to them, are you happy in this samsara or not? Then I think most of the people will reply, there is no happy, right? They are always suffering. In this life, when you're getting old slowly, then you have lots of sickness. After that, you will get one day 80 years old, then you cannot walk very well, you cannot eat very well. Then there is, even you have one life, but you are like have nothing. You cannot do anything. If you have money, you cannot eat very well. You cannot sleep very well. So that kinds of suffering have. Then after that, one day we will die. Then again we will, if we don't get a nirvana, don't have a practice of enough to reach to the high nirvana, then we will born again in the samsara. Then we have to go again from child to old. Then if we born in a human or god realm, then that is very good. If we born in the hell, hungry ghost, animal realm, then there are more suffering. Then there are long time suffering. So if we think about all those things, then the renunciation is very must have to practice the renunciation and must have to practice Dharma for get out from this samsara. Okay, yeah, I forgot the renunciation. The words which is we talking about the renunciation in usually in the Dharma in the Tibetan language we call the ngejung, the which is renunciation. I don't know the English. Usually we use this renunciation, right? But that is all the correct or not, but I don't know. But in Tibetan we call the ngejung. That is very important that this practice is. The ngejung means the renunciation. That means, let's say, it is the thinking. It is a one practice, the mind practice of that, which is we know that this samsara is lots of suffering, and wishing yourself the nirvana, enlightenment. Because of the lots of suffering you see you experience in this samsara, and because of that you are wishing nirvana, you are wishing the enlightenment, you are wishing Buddha, becoming a Buddha. That thinking is we call the renunciation. I don't know the English when they talk renunciation, what is the fully definition of that, but in Tibetan usually we call the ngejung. That is he's always disgusting about the samsara. He felt disgusting all the things of the samsara, and now he is wishing the nirvana. He's wishing enlightenment. He's wishing Buddha. So that thinking is we call the renunciation actually. Ngejung in Tibetan we call ngejung. So that is very important because a practitioner, people who do like Theravada practice or Mahayana practice, Vajrayana practice, people who do the practice, that thinking you must need. Otherwise, whatever you practice, it is not become a practice of perfect practice of Theravada or Mahayana, Vajrayana. Because yesterday we told, right? If you don't have a bodhicitta in your mind, then whatever you do a practice, that is not Mahayana practice. Even like that. If you don't have a renunciation, that kind of ngejung renunciation, if you don't have that kind of renunciation, then whatever you do a practice, that practice is not become a part of nirvana, which is even let's say if you do a offering, if you do a chanting, if you do a prayer, whatever you do, if you don't have a renunciation in your mind, then that practice it's not become a practice of Buddhist practice like that. That practice cannot become a cause or cannot become a part of nirvana. So that's why the renunciation is very important. So renunciation, for come out of renunciation, the most important thing is we have to always think about the suffering of samsara. We have to know the truth of suffering. So through that, slowly, then we, our mind is slowly going to discuss think about the samsara. Then our mind is more going to more thinking about wishing about the nirvana, Buddha, enlightenment. So that is very important. Usually, if you don't have a if you don't have a renunciation, that kind of renunciation, then you don't have a path of nirvana. That is very important. Then if you have that renunciation, then whatever you practice, whatever you have like refuge vow or the bodhicitta vow, those all the merits will become a path of nirvana. So that is the also very very important practice. Usually, it's said that if you don't have the when Manjushri give a teaching to the Sachin Kunga Nyingbo, there is a 4 line, right? There is a 1 line that if you don't have a renunciation, then you are not real practitioner. Have that. That means if we so much attached in this life, in the samsara things, like samsara thing means like whatever we see, the good, let's say, good house, good tree, good food, whatever. If we so much attached to these things, then that is we are attaching to samsaric things. Then like if you attach to your parent, family, that is also you are attaching to the samsaric things. That doesn't mean you don't love to them, but so much attaching is that is we have attached in this samsaric life. So those things are main opposite of the renunciations. So we always have to think about we always have to try how to not do a attachment to these samsaric things. So those are most important. For that, we have to. It is quite difficult practice. We have from the beginningless time to until now, we have so much habit of these samsaric things. So it is like very difficult to quit, but we are always slowly, we can practice, we can think about the truth of some suffering. Then through that, slowly our mind can become more opposed to the nirvana. So through that, we can get a practice of renunciation. Then slowly, if you always do a practice, then your attachment to this life and our these lives, all the things and the samsaric things, slowly we can quit. So through that, we can practice a very good renunciation. Then if you have a good renunciation, then whatever you do a practice, all the practice can become a nirvana, the path of nirvana, the path of like as a Mayana, that is becoming the path of Buddha, enlightenment. So like that thing. So if you have a question, then I think slowly we can discuss. That is more easy to make. The renunciation, the meaning of renunciation, you know, right? Yeah, usually the English words that use, it is same like that. Okay.
Khenpo, can you give example of how we can practice in our work life? Let's say I'm selling vegetable in the market. So how do I practice that in my daily activities? Practice renunciation.
Let you means when you are doing selling the vegetable, that time how we can do the renunciation practice? You means that, right?
It means, let's say, my life, I have a family and I'm doing the business of selling vegetable.
Okay.
So it's quite a normal life. So in that example, how do we apply the renunciation practice inside this life,
Inside this.
in our daily activities?
Let's say, even we doing something in this life, we doing even business or whatever, the renunciation you can practice, because the most important is you have renunciation. I've already told, right? Renunciation means thinking, knowing about this samsaric suffering and wishing ourselves nirvana. So like when you are doing the like selling the vegetable, the most important is the practice is we talking about the mind practice, right? That doesn't mean you don't sell the that doesn't mean you don't sell the vegetable. That it means you do your minds, you cannot so much attach to this life, and whatever you do, that things like that. So like during when you selling when you doing the business, you can think about that. You can also think about the suffering of samsara. You can also can learn about what is suffering of samsara, what is truth of samsaric suffering. So always you just think about that, and always learn about what is nirvana, the the benefit of get enlightenment, the benefit of if we get a Buddha, then there are so many how to say benefits. Think about that. If you have all these knowledge, then yeah, of course the renunciations is you will get the renunciations. Yeah, but when we talk about the don't attach to this life, that doesn't mean you don't do business, you don't do that. That is doesn't means, right? You can do without attachment. Yeah, slowly, but we have to practice without so much. If we look in the society, there are some people who really attach. We have so much attachment in this life, right? Some people they have very less. Yeah, but they are doing same together. They also doing business very good, so hard work. That people also doing so hard work, but their thinkings, their uh, their daily life thinking is different. So we have to change our thinking, not our that the activities. So what I mean is during when you selling the vegetable, that time also you can concentrate. That time you also do the meditation of renunciation through like thinking always about the suffering or mistake of the samsara, and always thinking benefit of the nirvana, the enlightenment. Through that, slowly your mind is, yeah, you will feel, I will need more nirvana. Then attachment to this life will slowly can Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Khenpo. Khenpo, there's one online question. Here, this brother, he asks how we can practice renunciation when we are attached to family life and love. It's very difficult, but how not to be attached?
Yeah, and that means when we have so much attachment to the family, then how do we?
How it's very difficult, but how not to be attached?
So the most important is we have to, when you don't have a the it is difficult, but if you start a practice knowing about the samsaric suffering, all those things, when your mind so much connect with the Dharma, then I think slowly can your attachment to your family, whatever, it becomes less and less. For that, most important, you have to always think about this how to say, the faults there. If we do so much attachment to our family, and from the view of practice, there are lots of faults, right? There are lots of mistake. How to say? I don't okay, yeah, faults. So we have to always think about that. And but yeah, I already told that doesn't mean you don't do good to the family. That doesn't mean we have to make less attachment to the family. We no need to do a less doing good to the family. So we have to change our mind, right? We have to change our attachment less to the family. So for that, you have to learn more about what is the fault. If we have an attachment to the family, then you have to practice more. Then in the practical, I think you can see sometimes the people, when they stay far from their family, then attachment become less. Maybe, yeah, some people have like that, right? When they become they stay far, they become far, but yeah, then the attachment to the family becoming less in the practical, but that doesn't mean you don't do good to the families. So like that kind of, through that kind of practice, you can make less attachment to the family. But even if you stay with the family, then your mind you can do your mind far from the attachment, far from there is a possible, right? Because the mind is, we have to change our mind through our meditation or our daily mind training. So there are lots of mind training you can apply for make less attachment to your family. You no need to go far from the family. You can spend time with them like before. But your mind training can do that training, like thinking more about the nirvana, thinking, learn more about the Dharma, learn more about the impermanent, learn more about there's a lots of, I think, like thinking about impermanent also same like that. We have lots of attachment, and we can think also impermanent about today we are together, we all are impermanent. Tomorrow we can stay together or not. Why why I have to do so much attachment to the family? So that kind of Dharma thinkings. Like today we are together. In this life we are with our family, right? Then next life we are not together. We will have another family. So like thinking of that kind of Dharma teachings, then when you know the more truth about the samsara, then yeah, slowly it is automatic. Because of that thinking of Dharma can make less, the family will become more less and less, I think like that. Usually see people who have a really connect with the Dharma, they have less suffering when their relatives pass away. Let's say when their parents pass away, the Dharma, the people who really connect with the Dharma, who have thoughts about thinking of Dharma, they have less painful. Because he thinking about the truth. That doesn't mean he doesn't love to the family. He love, right? He's one side, he's thinking, he know the truth of what is samsara. So because of that Dharma thinking, give him that because of that thinkings, he didn't get the loss, so much attachment. And because of that less attachment, he didn't get suffering so much. Then people who never have a connect with the Dharma, who always not have a thinking about the truth of the samsara, then that kind of people, when there's some relatives or nearest people pass away, they get lots of suffering. Sometimes it's even very difficult to accept that situation, that incident. So that is because of that is on people, they are less suffering, on people so much suffering. Even after 1-2 years later, they are still always sadness, suffering. That is because of the mind training. One is always connect with the Dharma. He know more truth about the samsara. He not so much care. That doesn't mean he didn't love, but he know that is nature of suffering. That is truth. He thinking about impermanent. The other one is so much attached, and there is no thinking about the truth of samsara. So because of one mind thinking is more connect with the Dharma, connect with the impermanent teaching, other is not connect with that teaching. So that because of that different become like that, right? So that what I mean is even we stay with the family, our mind, if we connect our mind always with the Dharma teachings, like impermanent, and there are lots of different methods of practice. If we do that practice, I think slowly the attachment get less and less to the family, right? Even you always with the family, then your mind can less attachment to the family. Usually the lotus flower like that. Like lotus flower, it is inside the, what do you say, the pond, the dirty pond like that. But it is always, when he come out, they're always beautiful, right? When it come out from the pond, but lotus is said no any attached that pond's dirty, right? The mud or whatever there, but it always stay very clean inside the pond. Like that, you can even stay with your family, But your mind, if you do a practice of Dharma slowly, you can also get better renunciation practice, less attachment.
Okay, thank you, Khenpo.
Since I have a question. Yeah, understand what I understand. Yeah, all the practice is mind practice because Buddha say we have to change our mind, right? If we want to change our physical this body, then we have to go to gym. And we have to. So yeah, for the mind training, mind practice, we have to change our mind. The mind is the one thing that is came from the beginningless, and it is going to in the next life, then becoming Buddha.
Khenpo, can I request Khenpo to give a specific method of mind training for somebody who is suffering from sickness?
Or sickness. When someone have a sickness, then how to do a practice, mind practice. Yeah. Usually you can do lots of there is in the when we talk about the mind training, there's a different method. Let's say when you have a suffering of your physical, that time in the previous one master say, I'm happy when I have a sickness. I'm also happy when I don't have a sickness, because when I have a sickness, I'm happy because that sickness is clearing my bad karma. So that kind of positive thinking, right? I'm happy when I'm sick, because that means my bad karma is exhausting, finishing, like that. So through thinking of that kind, also you can do the mind training, that more thinking about positive. Then others usually some practitioner, they also when you have a sickness, then that time like Buddhist, when we do a Bodhisattva practice, then you can also think like that, may all the other sentient beings who have that kind of sickness all come connect with this sickness, and may all the other sentient beings free from this sickness. Thinking like that, do a training, mind training. Can you understand? Yeah, you can also think when you have a headache, so much headache, that time you can think like that. All the other sentient beings headache also come to me, and may all the other sentient beings become free from this headache suffering. Do that kind of mind training also very, how to say, benefits. Yeah. So then also, maybe have others like those. Usually there are so many mind training practice that different one. They have a lots of different method, I think.
Sonam die tamje seba nye domne nye be dana bamje. Yenga na je balam tuba ye sebe tole dawa dobra isha. Chitra jemba da gundo sambo ente ya de shende de da gunye je so dal. Yawa de da tamje rabdo ngo je som shebe yawa dam. Jodo ngoban de da ge gewe zawan de ge ya sambo je je rabdo ngo cha za wa da che je sha ba da che so e rong gu she so ge wa jun se da ge je sa ba tam je zo be jang ju che bo ya zo le jong we so nga yi she ne be gan Ende bajura sambo zoze ba de la mi shala so.
Okay.